Hi, good morning. My name is Justine Bianco, and I'm a part of the ELM 119 cohort. I originally found out about the program on Google. I believe I looked into it like back in, let's say, 2018, and I reached out to advisors and found out some of the prerequisites. So by the time I began the program in 2021, that was the transition where they were going from having been online due to COVID restrictions to back in person. So it was great personally for me because I got to do in-style learning, which I prefer that versus online. But we did have a little bit of a mix of hybrid courses along the way, or asynchronously, which was amazing because they kind of gave you flexibility. The schedule was quite intense and they share that with you. I remember going to like an info meeting for the APU program online, and Dr. Gallo sharing like ELM students are so stressed. They do a lot of work, but you really don't know what that is until you're in there. So I would just say some tips that I would share having made it to this point along the journey. I'm not done yet, but I would just share, get organized, have a planner, have multiple planners and see what works for you. So I kind of fluctuated from using an online one on Google Docs or Sheets so that I could see, or Excel at any point in time on the go. But then I also had a handwritten one that was really helpful for me in feeling accomplished when I could physically write something down and check it off. And then I also, to kind of keep up with the changes in some of the updates, I got support through Student Academic Success Services, and they recommended this app called Remember the Milk. And you can literally go on there and plug in a schedule and set reminders, so you can get emails and text message reminders regarding whatever due dates you have. So some people might not need that many reminders, but I personally do. So there's various platforms. I would explore what works for you, and then also just be kind and patient with yourself, because every semester is going to require a different level of skill, and it's going to have you tap into a different part of your brain. So just giving yourself that kind of trial and error to figure out what it is this course is about, and how does that work simultaneously in conjunction with the other courses at the time, and what does the professor want, and how do they formulate their questions. So just kind of give yourself time to figure out what works, and just always check in with yourself, because it's going to be changing. And at various points, I would say what worked for me first semester, I had to step it up a notch second semester, and vice versa, for third and fourth and fifth. So just always kind of adapting and giving yourself grace in that, and like checking in with yourself. I also recommend utilizing more services. I'm at the Inland Empire campus, so that's a remote campus, and it is just a building, so sometimes it can feel very like isolated and kind of cold. You don't have that campus environment of like, okay, I'm here, I'm in this like certain energy, and I have a big public library that I can stay in all day. We do have like a lounge that is open and you can utilize, but it's just different. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to Academic Success Services. They have so many services that I'm grateful for. As far as mentoring, first semester I reached out and I had a mentor. They paired me with an NP student at the San Diego campus, and we were able to kind of check in. And I think mentorship is super important regardless of your specialty, your age, your experience. Like, it just lets someone else in person's doing what you're doing, or been through what you've been through, and that it'll be okay and you can get through it too. Also, I share with you like getting organized with the apps, the Remember the Milk app. That was through like a coaching service. So you can go to Academic Success Service and say, hey, I have goals. Can you help me accomplish them? So I told them, I was like, I want to be more organized. And so they were helping coaching me with that. I also utilize the Writing Center. They'll meet with you and proofread your papers. There's also free counseling that I also access through APU. So you can actually get your tuition. You're already paying for these services. So you can utilize these resources and they're very helpful. And there's various different things I would say, but I just feel like tips as far as context wise or content in the course. Yeah, just doing more practice questions from Kaplan I think would help. I think at first Kaplan was just extra. It was just daunting. It was another thing to do. But now I would say later on at this point where we're understanding that we're going to be taking the next generation style NCLEX, and that format is basically Kaplan. So even though Kaplan is something that, you know, I don't look forward to doing, I do know that it's beneficial. So I would just incorporate familiarizing yourself with those questions. And then I remember checking in, I want to say it was like my third semester. I was asking our peds professor, like, how can I do better on Kaplan? And he was like, oh, use this decision-making tree. And it was the same decision-making tree Professor Fondara gave us like first semester. So it's just about prioritization and how to, you know, and I think even too, Professor Kelly told me about it second semester. So all of these things, just like eventually you kind of beat yourself over the head and it kind of starts to make sense. So utilize these resources as far as like, how do you start thinking? I would say, you know, first semester, I felt like I knew nothing. And then, you know, you keep going and you realize you know more than you think. And so just be kind and patient with yourself. Implement self-care, you know, don't wait until you're burnt out. Like actually have it in increments every day where you're doing something for you to really just be able to feel peace and at balance and keep going and to finish. And find a study, find how you study best. You know, don't try to be like everyone else. Figure out your learning style. Are you visual? Are you auditorial? Are you tactile? You know, do you want to start listening more? Do you want to even record your own voice, reading your own notes, and listen to that over and over? So figure out what works for you and just constantly check in. And yeah, utilize these tools and just, you know, you're gonna get it. So I was like super overwhelmed the whole time, but it will get easier, I promise. And you're gonna understand that you do have what it takes, and you know, there's a reason you're here, and the medical profession needs you, and there's no one like you with your eyes and your perspective and your background. So congratulations, and I'm very excited for your guys' journey, and yeah, keep going. I will too.